Thank you, Professor Muthia. I'd like to thank the organizers for having me over here. And I'm not really the most qualified person to talk on this, but I thank the organizers for calling me here. I shall be speaking here today from 2 points of view. One as an interested reader, and then as an author with a vested interest. As an interested reader, interested reader in English, I must point out to you, in case you don't know the figures, Muthia Saab said that we publish a lot of books in English. In the pecking order of publishing, I don't know how many of you know this, we are about 6th or 7th. In other words, in all the countries in the world, we are the 6th largest publishers. And that number moves to number 3 when you look at English publishing. I think every year, roughly about 20,000 titles come out of the country. It's enough to swamp a small banana republic in Central Asia or in Central America. That's a hell of a lot of books coming out. So the quantity is not the problem. Also, if you look at the publishing scene in India, since in the middle of 80s, I think Penguin set up a shop in the 80s, middle of 80s. And now if you look at the Penguin website, I just checked it before I came here, they publish something like 250 titles a month, which means, my maths is not so good, it means when you break it down, it works out to about 21 titles per month, every month, which means they are publishing a book every day of the month, except for the weekends. Now, if you look at the other publishing houses that are in the business, there is Random House, there's a hell of a lot of people coming to India because India is a growth center. They project a growth of books in India at 30%. So they bring all kinds of books from all over the world and sell it over here. So you have Random House, you have Rupa, you have HarperCollins, you have Simon Schuster, you have Hamish Hamilton, you have everybody, all the big names in the West setting up shop here. Now, if you look at the topic is strategies to globalize Indian literatures. Now, if you look at the world trends, number one, there has been a serious dip in sales in the world of books. Bookshops are closing all over the place in the Western world. And I'm afraid that's the truth even in India. In Chennai itself, I think not very many bookstores are doing a great job selling books. If you may have seen that Odyssey has closed down in Anna Nagar. Now they are struggling to sell books in Adyar, and most of their books is on heavy discount. So which means it's a matter of time before they close. And even Landmark, the bookstore with which all of us grew up when we were young, even that's not doing so well. In Bangalore, I think last year as many as 7 bookstores closed. So you have, on the one hand, so many books coming out, let's say at an average of 3 a day, 4 a day, if you put all the mainline publications put together. Now they're all vying for shelf space in a depleting shelf space. You know, the bookshops are disappearing. So a book which you see on display today will not be there on display tomorrow, not because it is sold out, but because there is pressure on the shop to display the book that has come. All right, so that is one aspect of book amounts to 1 lakh books, every book he writes. That's the scale. Now he's able to sell 1 lakh books in India. Now you will, since you like him, since you read him, it might be even possible to postulate that maybe we should be globalized. But I ask you, why isn't any foreign publisher picking him up? It means that at some level he is not global. Now look at Harry Potter. The pre-bookings of Harry Potter sells more than 2 lakhs even before the books hits the stands. So that's globalization. It's got a huge marketing machinery. It's got a lot of things going for it. I want to now digress to another point that Professor Muthiah made, which is the quality of our students. Now all of you, I guess many of you must be in college. So, I am in a newspaper. I conduct tests and choose my candidates. And I, as part of the entry process in my paper, I administer a very basic logic and language test. And I must tell you that out of every 100 people who write the test, not more than 6 or 7 actually impress me as having the basics of English together. And whenever I speak to professors, they tell me that even after 12 years of learning English in schools, when students come to colleges, the standard of English is woeful. Now there's a serious problem here, that here we are, a country of more than 1 billion. They say that 62.5% of the country is literate. So if this is literacy, there's something seriously wrong with it. I have known instances where people with MA in English literature couldn't even string a single sentence in English together properly in my test. So that's another aspect. So when I say that we need to look at strategies to globalize, I think we have to look deeply inwards and ask ourselves whether the systems that we have in place right now in terms of school curricula, in terms of college curricula, are actually adequate to claim the mantle of any kind of, let's say leaders in terms of globalizations of literature. Which is ironical because, our movies do very well in the Mideast. Our movies do very well a hell of a lot of other places. Yet in the same markets, our books will not do well. Our books don't even go out. As an author, that's the other point that I want to make. As an author, I would like my books to sell well in India. I would like my books to have print runs of 10,000 or 20,000. I would like my books to be translated into various other languages. I would like to see some saturation on that. Now I tell you why it is important. I'll give you, let's say, 2 examples from global literature. How many of you have heard of a gentleman called Gabriel Garcia Marquez? All right, there's some recognition of that name. How many of you have heard of a gentleman called Murakami Haruki? All right. Now, this is a very important point that I want to make. We know Marquez and we know Murakami primarily because of their translators. In fact, after Marquez has got 2 very famous translators. One is Edith Grossman and one is Gregory Rabassa. And in fact, after Rabassa translated 100 Years of Solitude, Marquez complimented him saying that you've done a better job than my book in the original language. Now, I do not know what the situation of translators are in India. Abroad, you have recognition given to translators. You have accolades given to translators, and these translators occupy very high academic positions in prestigious universities. There are 3 people who translate Murakami. One is, I think, Philip Gabriel, one is J. Rubin, and one is Alfred Beerbohm. And the point that I want to make is, when Marquez grew up, he read great books of world literature. So at some point of time, there was globalization, which he participated in. he read them in Spanish. I don't think he read them in English. So there were good translators through which he had access to good literature. And, you know, I don't know, I think 100 Years of Solitude, one of the best books of Marquez, was his fourth book, I think. Not really sure about that, I might have to check it up. But previous to that, his previous books had the same print run that we have in India, 2000. Translators should have pride of place in our society, in our literary systems, in our universities. And you know, since I have to wrap it up, I'll quickly make a few points that I think are absolutely essential that our universities need to do. In the West, there's a lot of university presses. There are a lot of presses that publish books through the university. Now, I think in the last count, there were more than 200 universities in India, much more than 200 universities in India. And we have thriving literature departments, we have comparative literature departments. Why is it not possible for some of these universities to start their own publishing line? Professor was mentioning that we don't have a single literary magazine in Chennai before we came into this room. So, but that's the truth. You don't have a single literary magazine anywhere else. If our poets need to be published, they have to look elsewhere. Why should that be the case? Why can't universities start publishing houses now here, number one? And why can't colleges have book clubs? Why can't our libraries acquire all the new books that are happening? And why do our curriculum teachers, you know, social history of England in the 21st century? What relevance does it have? These are a few points that I would like our universities here to ponder. And I'll be happy to take questions afterwards. Thank you.
That was a really interesting discussion and everything, but you didn't really talk about many strategies that, you know, that you could actually use for globalization. So maybe you could talk about that for a bit. What?
Through the newspapers, through translation, through comparison, through arrangement of international dialogues.
In this moment of time, when barriers are pulled down ruthlessly and constantly, making the world more accessible, devoid of division of any kind, literature which reflects life, reflects reality, it is very appropriate for Professor Chellappan to define what is globalization. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. V. Sudarshan gave a liberal suggestion, the change of curriculum in this globalization of Indian literature. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Muthaiah, Editor, Madras Musings, for being a wonderful moderator. Thank you, sir. I invite Mrs. Lata, Secretary, Chennai Literary Festival, to just give a memento as a token of appreciation to Mr. Muthaiah, Editor, Madras Musings. Thank you, sir. I invite Dr. Professor Hamstrong, Head Department of English, to give a token of appreciation to Professor Chellappan.